Today we're going to cover two things on the E6B flight computer. We're going to cover multiplication and division. You can see right here I've got a little bit drawn out. I'm going to review how to do time distance problems and gallons per hour problems. And then we'll flip this over and we'll give you a true airspeed and a true heading, and we'll convert that with wind. We'll go ahead and find our true heading and ground speed corrected for a wind, and it's really easy to do on the backside. As a review, you've got the 60 index here, right here, and that's great if you're going to do nautical miles per hour or gallons per hour. Anything per hour is the 60 index. Say, for example, I'm going 80 knots in my Cessna 172, and I want to know how far I go in a certain time. So what I'll do, or how long it's going to take me to go a certain mileage. You can do either one. So there's my 80 knots and my index, and then I'll say, okay, how long is it going to take me to go 60 nautical miles? So I'll just go on the outer scale to 60, read in, it's going to take me 45 minutes. That's how you do a time distance problem. To do a gallons per hour, say I'm in the Cessna 172 and now I'm burning 8 gallons per hour, and it works the exact same way. And I want to know how many gallons am I going to burn in a half an hour. Well, mathematically it's really easy to know you're going to burn 4 gallons, but let's look at it. Put my 60 index on the 8 and then go over to the 30 minutes. Read 30 minutes off the B scale. Remember, this is the A scale, B scale, C scale. There's 30 minutes, and of course you're going to burn 4 gallons. Okay, and so that's how you do a gallon or speed distance time problem. To do multiplication, this 10 index over here is really important. That is where you're going to do your multiplication and your division. For your multiplication, say I would like to do 4 times 7. Okay, so I'm going to take my 10 index and put it under the 4. Now let's do it the other way where you can see it right side up. Take the index and let's say 12 times something. All right, there's on 12 and the 10 index is on 12. So you would enter right here at the 12 and say let's go 12 times 8.5 or so. Right here's 8.5. So 12 times 8.5, read here, hit the 10, then go over to the outer scale. Well, you could do it this way. There's a 7, okay? 12 times 7. Boom, right there, 84. Okay? So, go down, again, hit the 12, read down, go across, read the inner scale, and the outer scale will give you your answer. Okay? 10 times 7 is 84. Okay? Let's try another one. Take it around, and we'll say, I don't know, 2 times, or let's go 17 times 4. Okay, so again, I'm going to put the 10 under the 17, right? Then I'm going to read the 4 over here, and it looks like it's about 68. Okay, I'll take that back. Yeah, 68, 66, 68, right in that area. Okay, so again, read down and across. Now, to do division, just do it backwards. Okay, you can see in the top one here, you take the outside scale, put your divisor underneath it, and then read over to the 10 scale. So, for example, I'm going to do 440 divided by 3. You could do it right here, 4 divided by 3. Or you can do 40 divided by 30, okay, which would be 1.33. So let's take a look at it. All right, let's go 40 divided by 30 right there. All right, so I read up here to the 10 scale, and there's my 1.33. Now you just have to take into account the decimal, and you know that 40 divided by 30 is 1 1/3, and so there it is right there, 1.3 and then 3. Okay, that's how you do multiplication and division on the E6B. Really simple. And just keep in mind you have to use that 10 index. Now to do a wind problem on the E6, you use the backside and the parts of the scale that you'll see. You've got the sliding card right here, which is your correction angle and your airspeed. You see right there 120 knots, 130 knots, 140 knots, 150 knots, and the lines there represent that speed. You also have on the outside here your actual true headings and your cardinal headings 0, 90, and 180 and 270. Now, most E6Bs don't have this wind arm, okay? And so I'm going to show you how to do a wind correction problem without that wind arm first. And most of the videos that are attached to my notes show you how to do the wind problem without the wind bar. And so let's go ahead and do that right here. Your true course is 360, and your airspeed is 110 knots. Okay. The true wind right now is from 090 at 15. Whenever you give wind, it's always where's the wind coming from. So in this case, the wind's coming from the east, 090 at 15 knots. So we're going to say, all right, what is your correction angle? What is the heading that true heading I'm going to have to actually steer to keep me on course? And what is your ground speed? Okay, so here's how you do that. We said that the wind was 090 at 10. So what I'm going to do to plot that is I'm going to put my airspeed reticle here, and this is very important, that reticle. I'm going to put that on 100 for a reference. Okay. And then I'm going to put a dot right there at 10 knots. Okay. And there's my, short of that, there's my 10 knots. Okay. There's 090 at 10 knots. Then my heading again was 360, so let's move the bar out of the way. Let's pretend that bar is not here. So now my true heading is 360 or 000, so 350, 360. And you can see what it did to the wind dot. Okay? So this tells me I'm going to have to correct, if my heading is towards me, I'm going to have to correct to the right. So I'm going to have to add degrees, and how much? Okay, well, wherever the dot is. When you're above 100 knots, and what you do here is you take your sliding card and you put the dot on your 110 knot line. There's your 110 knot line, and your dot is on the 110 knot line. And then you can read your ground speed at the grommet. Okay. Well, with a 90-degree wind, we're not going to have any change in the ground speed. Okay, because the wind is almost directly coming from our right-hand side. So you can see right here, it's coming from this direction. And so our ground speed in this case may be changed oh man, maybe a knot, maybe 111 ground speed, maybe no change at all, because you're still pretty much right on the line. Okay, so pretty much right at about 110 knots. Then, to know what's my correction angle, obviously if the wind's coming in that direction, you're going to have to correct in this direction towards it. So your correction here is going to be there's 5 degrees, and if you're above 100 knots, each tick is a knot. So it looks like 8 degrees to the east, okay, or 8 degrees towards the wind, okay. And so you can see there's 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how you do the wind correction if you don't have this wind bar. All right, let's figure out how to do the wind bar now. Now, my E6B has a wind bar, which I recommended for you guys to get too. But a lot of people might have the metal E6Bs that don't have the wind bar. So in this case, let's do another problem using the wind bar. Your course is 060 to 120 knots. The wind is 270 at 20. Remember, whenever you get a wind correction, it's always where is the wind coming from. So that wind is coming from the west at 20 knots. So what is the true heading and what is your ground speed? So what you're going to do on this case, you know, the last time if you didn't have the wind bar, you put in the wind first, you put your dot, then you twisted it to the heading. In this case, you don't have to do that. So my heading is 060. So I'm going to go ahead and twist my index here to the true heading and go ahead and put it on 060. There you go. True index there, 060. Then what I'm going to do is put in the wind on the wind bar, 270 at 20. So right here is your wind. I'm going to put it right down there at 270. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 120 knot line here and I'm going to put it on the 20 knot on the wind bar, right where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it, and there's the 120 knot. There you go, right where they cross. There's the 120 knot, and you can see the line there where it's crossing the 20 knots right here. Okay. So I said before that grommet is really, really important because that's where you're going to read your ground speed. Okay. Right now, if I'm heading 060, I've got a quartering tailwind if it's coming from 270, which is good. That's what I want. So I read, again, I cross, there's my wind heading, 270. Put that arrow right there. Then put your true airspeed and cross it with the 20 knots right here. All right. Then I go to my grommet, and I can read my ground speed is just under 140 knots. Looks like 138 knots. Okay, so my ground speed is 138 knots. Okay, you can see it right there. There's a 140 line where the grommet is, and I'm one dot there, and that's 2 knots less than that. Okay, what is my true heading, or what correction do I need to put in? I do need to put a little bit of a correction to the west here, and the brown line here tells me it's going to be about 5 degrees to the west. Okay, so that means I'm going to take away 5 degrees when I steer. So I'm actually going to steer 055. And then that westerly, wind, I'll steer into it by about 5 degrees, and that will then keep me on course. So once again, put in your heading here under true index, the 060. Put your wind arrow here, that's the 270. And then cross your true airspeed right here, the 120, with your 20 knots right here, and read your reticle. Okay, that's your ground speed, which we have a tailwind. And then you read where is your correction angle. You read that on the scale here, right to left from the center line. Okay, and that's how you do a wind problem on the E6B. Having the wind bar makes life a whole lot easier, but you can do it both ways. Okay.